I was a weird kid. Hi everyone, I'm Catherine and I am here today fairly sunburned and completely exhausted. So I just got back from Costa Rica yesterday morning at 4:45. Yeah. And then I had to work all day today and it was just horrible. Like, I am so physically exhausted from being on vacation. It's like I need a vacation from being on vacation. So I decided I felt like making a video and I was like, well, what am I going to make this video on? And then I saw through the booktube that some people are showing the completed series that they've read. And I thought, you know what? I'm curious as to how many completed series I actually have read that are on my shelves. And then I was a little terrified because I'm like, what if it's a really little number? So I took up the challenge. I'm like, yes, let us find out these numbers and go from there. So that's what I did. I have the books beside me, which you can't see, but they're right here, right here. And I'm going to share with you my completed series. So first off is a book that, while I have technically finished reading the original trilogy, I have not read any of the books that have come after. But since it's the original trilogy, I decided to include it. And that book is Nightshade by Andrea Cremer. So the original trilogy of this consists of Nightshade, Wolfsbane, and Blood Rose, which I loved. I didn't really love the ending, but that's a whole nother story. Then there's Snakeroot, which comes after. I think it's like a prequel. And then there are the definite prequels, Rift and Rise. And I haven't gotten around to reading them, but I have read the original trilogy, so it counts. Here's a trilogy that I just finished last year, and I own books 1 and 3 and not book 2. So I need to find book 2 and complete it on my shelf. But that is The Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I fell in love with this series. It took me so long to read this book. I don't know why. I ended up doing all 3 of them partially on audio, and the third one was so amazing on audio, but it was taking so damn long. I actually went out and bought the book to finish reading it. I finished the original Percy Jackson series, so that is 5 books. Count it, 5. And I do have the Heroes of Olympus on my shelf waiting to be read, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I adored the Percy Jackson books. Like, they were just so amazing, and even the really horribleness of the movies could not deter my love. I finished Rick Riordan's other trilogy, and that is his Kane Chronicles trilogy. This is the first one, The Red Pyramid. I just recently finished the third one. I did do these 3 almost solely on audiobook. I personally found that it was easier to get into them that way, having the alternating voices between Sadie and her brother Carter. So yeah, if you tried to read this one after reading Percy Jackson and it just wasn't there, try the audio if you have it at your library, because it made all the difference for me. Next up is another trilogy, and that is the Summer Trilogy by Jenny Han. This is the first one is The Summer I Turned Pretty, and then there's It's Not Summer Without You, and There Will Always Be Summer, if I'm not mistaken. But these are about Belly and her weird love triangle between her 2 childhood friends who are brothers, but they're really good, aside from the fact that her name is Belly. Next I have a duology. So the first one is Wildwood Dancing by Juliet I always mispronounce her name, Marlier. And the second one is Sybil's Secret, which I did not enjoy as much as this one. I adored this book. It was a retelling of a bunch of fairy tales mashed together. 2 of the more prominent ones were The Frog Prince and The 12 Dancing Princesses. It is amazing. I finished the complete trilogy of The Rules of Attraction by Simone Ucles. That is Perfect Chemistry, Rules of Attraction, and Chain Reaction. Perfect Chemistry and Rules of Attraction were my favorite ones. Chain Reaction was a bit for me. But I just found that by the third book, it was a very, very repetitive storyline, even though I love the characters. Of course, no list would be complete without The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I love this trilogy. I can't wait for Mockingjay Part 2. Mockingjay Part 3 comes out on video in a couple weeks. So, yeah, I need to get that and hold it and rewatch it again and again and again, because I'm pretty sure I liked the Mockingjay Part 1 movie better than the first two. Now, this series took from the time I was in high school until last summer to complete. But to be fair, the fifth book came out a lot later than the first four, and that is the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series. The fifth book, Sisterhood Everlasting, was heart-wrenching. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, Okay, so this next book is a little strange. Technically, I have the feeling it was supposed to be a much longer series, but they only ended up doing 3 out of the 9 books that I assume were planned. And that is The 9 Lives of Chloe King. So they did make this into a ABC Family TV series, which sadly failed. I only watched the first episode, but the books are better. So this is the first book, and they do only have the 3. I loved reading this. I think in like high school when it first came out. I loved it. I really would have continued reading the series. I felt as though this was a series that a lot happened in. There was a lot of like its own lore and everything. But they just never finished it. So, yeah. Next, I have the Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. So technically this one was first a trilogy. And then there's a 4th book, which is like more of a companion, but it has a lot of the same characters, although they're no longer the main characters from the original trilogy. And in my opinion, it kind of sucked. But this one, I loved the original trilogy. The first one was definitely my favorite, but I loved the world that Westerfeld built for this, and I found it incredibly psychologically fascinating. The obsession that this culture had with beauty, and how it also related to how our own culture is, especially in relation to beauty. So this book is on my list. I don't know if there are going to be more books, but I have read the 2 that are out, and I want more, but according to Goodreads, there's nothing on coming up, which is sad, because I need more. And that is Veronica Mars. This is the $1,000 tan line. I just finished reading Mr. Kiss and Tell, and oh my god, just it was awesome. Awesome. I was a little peeved that Kristen Bell didn't narrate again, but I need to go and buy a physical copy of the second book for my shelf, because I love Veronica Mars and always will. Next up is book 1 in a 6-book series. Yeah, there are 6 books. I have read them all, and I'm hoping for more, especially since the 6th book was only released that I know of in ebook format. I needed a physical copy right away, as soon as I can. But it's also the series of books that really got me out of my reading slump last year, 2 years ago. I've lost track of time. But that is Backstage Pass by Olivia Cunning. This is an adult series. It is borderline incredibly graphic erotica. Technically, it's in the romance section at Chapters. Technicality. There's a lot of sex in it and hot guys. So take of that what you will. I just recently finished this trilogy, and that is Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. Now, technically, there is a 4th book out, but it is also the beginning of its own separate trilogy. It just also relates to this trilogy. So I'm including this for the purposes of the original trilogy only, and I do have the 4th book to read quite soon. Next comes the second Snyder series on this list, and that is Touch of Power. Now, I adore this trilogy. I would love for there to be more in this trilogy. I loved it. I loved it so much. I thought it was really neat, and the way that the powers worked and how they related to people, and just, it was perfection. And now the third series of Maria V. Snyder on this list, as Sophie clacks on the floor by me, and that is Inside Out. So this is the first book in her duology, Inside Out and Outside In, and it's science fiction as opposed to her normal, like, high fantasy books. I really enjoyed it. This is also her young adult debut, I believe, but it is her only known to me young adult series that she has. I thought it was really good. It's about this girl on a spaceship, and a lot of shit goes down. Like, a lot. Next up is the Vampire Academy series. I adored this series. I loved books 1 through book 6, and I really can't wait to read the Bloodlines companion series, but I am purposefully waiting until they are all out and they are all on paperback so I can just marathon them, because from what my friends have showed me over the years, the wait has been brutal once you've started reading, and yeah, I don't want to deal with that. Okay, this next book, well, it pretty much speaks for itself, and that is Twilight, and that's all we'll say about that. Next is another adult series, and I have talked about this book ad nauseum probably, and especially about the author, but that's because her books are awesome. And that is the Soulless series by Gail Carriger, the Parasol Protectorate series, technically. I fell in love with Alexia from the first page of this book, and I have reread all of the books at this point except the last one. But it just, I can't wait for the companion young adult series about Prudence to come out. Yeah. And I love her finishing school series. And I've read all those books, but there's more coming out, so it didn't make the list. Next, I have a chicklet paranormally adult romance series by Mary Janice Davidson. Sleeping with the Fishes is the first book. It's about a mermaid named Fred, and Fred is a girl. And they're hilarious books. Next up is the Iron King series by Julie Kagawa. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't like fairy books at all. And while I read her books, especially the last book, I kind of just skimmed. Mostly just to say I read it. But, that being said, her fairy books are done really well. And if I liked fairy books, they would be amazing. And they're written really well. I don't like fairies that much. No. I finished reading the If I Stay and Where She Went duology by Gail Forman. I adored this movie. By the way, I just need to put that out there. I loved the movie. It was really well done. But the books, I sobbed during the books. Like, full on, ugly cry, in my room alone with the lights off. Like, yeah, if you haven't read these yet, you really need to pick them up. They are fantastic. Even better than the movie. And I really hope they make this second book into a movie. My second last series is the Goddess series by Ame Carter. So, I loved these books. I love books that are retellings of any kind, whether it's fairy tale or myth or whatever. I'm a huge sucker for the retelling. Like, yeah. Shakespeare retellings, love them. But I really enjoyed this one. I know it is very mixed reviews on it. I feel as though people either loved it or they hated it. You gotta give it a chance. But I loved Kate, and I loved what's-his-face, Henry. Henry was just broody and awesome. But it was, I thought, really good, like, supernatural young adult romance. I thought it was sweet. I liked even the bind up of all of the novellas that go with it, about the different characters. I liked everything about this series pretty much, except maybe the way it ended. My last book encompasses not just one series, but many series. But I didn't want to just bombard you because there's like 5 or 6. And I've read all of them all the way through except one. I haven't read the last book. I don't know why. It took me forever to maybe get the last book. And it pisses me off that the last book doesn't match the format of the other books, but that is a whole different topic of conversation. But those are the books by Tamora Pierce. I love her books. My favorite series of hers are the Circle ones with Sandry and Briar and Triss and Daja. And then this one was like after the second series, they get back together, and it's just, she does high fantasy so well. Her books are always amazing. I love them. I love them so much. I love it. Love it, love, 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 love. I need more of her in my life. A lot more. So I'm sure I have finished reading other series. I didn't include ones like, I think I've read most of the Bailey School Kids, if not all of them. All of the Sweet Valley Twins books, the Sweet Valley Kids, the Babysitter Club, those types of books. Like, you lose track because there's so many of them. You're not actually sure if you have read them all. So I didn't include them. And I'm sure that there are ones that I don't have on my shelf that I've actually read, whether it's been from the library or from friends or whatever. So, yeah. But in the grand scheme of things, those are all the series that are on my shelf that I've read. The series, the trilogies, the duologies, all of it. So in total, that was 24 plus series, because I'm only including the Tamora Pierce's one, but it's really multiple. So we're closer to 30, I think. But still, that's a lot of series that I finished. I have tons of series and trilogies and duologies where I've read the first, or I've read the first and the second, and I just haven't finished that last book. So maybe I should do a video about those ones as well, because I have a feeling those numbers would be a lot higher. I also have a bunch of series on my shelf that I've either only read the first book and yet have like all 7 of them, strangely, or I have them all and they're sitting on my shelf, but I haven't gotten around to reading them at all. Like, at all. So, we'll see. We also have series like the Pretty Little Liars books, where it starts off as a quartet of books and then they keep adding 4 every year, nonstop. It's insane. But those are all ideas for other videos. This was just this video. So, yes. Now, I need to go and shower. I'm pretty sure I still have salt in my hair from the ocean. And I need to deal with the suntan. That is a burn because it's red. You see the white spots. It actually really hurts. Yes. So, until next time, everybody, happy reading. Let me know which of these series you have read or finished or started reading or want to read, and comment down below, okay? We'll talk to you later. Happy reading.